Ego. If you remember anything from the last class on ego. Hmm? Swagata and Anandita, they have joined both the classes, last two classes on ego. বৌদি জয়েন করেছিল ইগোর উপরে?
একদিন করেছিলাম।
ওকে। কি? What is the point of me teaching and saying so many things if you don't remember? কি গো, মনে নেই নাকি?
অনেক কিছু একসাথে হয়ে গেছে না, গুলিয়ে গেছে এট এ টাইম, অনেক কিছু একসাথে হয়ে গেছে।
হ্যাঁ, তো এক্সাম দিলে মাত্র, রাইট?
অনেক কিছু একসাথে, হ্যাঁ আমার অনেক কিছু একসাথে মনে পড়ছে, গুলিয়ে
ওকে।
গেছে।
হ্যাঁ স্বাগতা।
তবে
ওই
ইগো কি
ইগোতে
সেটুকুনি
বলেছিলে
দেখে রেখেছি, সেলফ ইম্পর্টেন্স সেটুকুনি মনে আছে,
ওকে ওকে
তার বাইরে একটু গুলিয়ে গেছে।
ওকে স্বাগতা।
মানে আমি জানি সেটাও মানে মানে হাইলাইট করা মানেও কিছু ক্ষেত্রে বলেছিলে ইগো, যাতে নিজেকে বড় করে না দেখা হয়। মানে
হুম
আমি এটা পারি, বা
হুম
আমার থেকে ও এটা বেশি পারে না।
হুম হুম
মানে এরকম রিলেটেড যেগুলোর মধ্যে ভাবনা আসবে সেইগুলোকেও ইগো বলা হয়।
হুম 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 ট্রু ট্রু, ভেরি ট্রু। বাট ট্রিগর মেইন কি পড়িয়েছিলাম, যে দে আর অল কানেক্টেড টু আইডেন্টিটিজ, উই কানেক্ট টু ডিফারেন্ট ডিফারেন্ট আইডেন্টিটিজ, রাইট?
হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ।
So identities, what are the identities we connect? And everything is like ego. So, trying to feel better than others, they come secondary. First, ego, the basic ego is that when we try to attach ourselves to different different kinds of identities through different different things. Hmm? First was, again, if you remember, let me see, where is the ego? Yes, yes.
Sense of self,
Se- Physical items.
sense of
বডি
ourselves.
ব্রেন, বডি ব্রেন হেলথ, চাইল্ড রিলেশন,
Absolutely, yes, yes.
ওয়েলথ,
Couples,
কাপলস, এইগুলো
yeah.
হলো ইগোর মধ্যে পড়বে।
হুম হুম এগুলো হলো ইগোর মধ্যে পড়বে। এগুলো হলো আমরা এগুলো আইটেম দিয়ে নিজেদেরকে কানেক্ট করার চেষ্টা করি।
কানেক্ট
ওকে।
করার চেষ্টা করি।
হুম।
হ্যাঁ।
Okay, now we move on to know a little bit more. So body, having body and also physical items দিয়েও connect করা this. If this pen is a very very branded pen, then and I use only branded pen, then I connect myself with this brand. Hmm? My ego is connected to the feeling that, oh, I use only branded things. I am rich. I feel wealthy by using these things. So this is what we do with physical items. Body, again, beauty, ugliness, and tall, short, through that we connect. Hmm? Then friendship also, I told you that many of the times we use friendship, we don't really become true friends, we are using friendships. Okay, so that we have to be careful, because through that also the ego wants to satisfy itself. Hmm? And also we try to get approval. Then is parent child relationship, couples, where we want to we identify ourselves by thinking, oh, I am this person's mother, I'm that person's husband or wife. Okay. And belief system also, so many belief system, from political beliefs to religious belief, they all fall under ego's identification. Then and there are many other ways there where ego can feel connected. Okay. Your body, your name, your gender, your nationality, sometimes they say Indian, sometimes it's okay to fight for your country, it is okay, but too much of Indianness will make you fanatic. Okay. Your family, your friends, your belief, your personal story. Hmm? তারপরে your problems, your age, your job, your social status, your spirituality. Sometimes spirituality can also make you very egoistic. ভালোর থেকে মানে অল্প বিদ্যা ভয়ঙ্করী হয়ে যায়, যে সেটা হয়ে যায়। Sometimes you will just get into spirituality and you'll think you know everything, and then you will look down on others. Okay, that's why even spirituality can also be used in the form of an ego. Sometimes, what happens is that people who are I'm a vegetarian. Okay, there are many people because of spirituality turn vegetarian, and they will, there are people who will look down on non-vegetarians, thinking that they are not good people because they eat non-veg. Okay, this are all comes from spiritual arrogance. ওকে, স্পিরিচুয়াল অ্যারোগেন্সও এরকম, যখন একটু মেডিটেশন করলে তখন মনে হয় আমার, যেমন হয় না, আমার কাউকে ভালো লাগে না আজকাল, সব ফেক মনে হয়, ওটাও অ্যারোগেন্স, নিজেকে কি মহান ভাবছো। ইট রিয়েলি ডাজন্ট ম্যাটার। Sorry, Afsanji, I think I'm using a lot of Bengali because most of the people here are Bengali. So I'm so used to with
No,
you.
it's okay. It's okay. I
Yeah.
can understand some more.
Yeah. So it's like, sometimes what happens is that just a little bit of meditation and then we feel we have become great. And then we look down on others, we think others are fake, others are this, we start judging people, thinking আমরা খুব মহান হয়ে গেছি, we have become great and others are not that great. That we have to be very careful about also, friends, because we are now in the spiritual path, and there is a tendency for us to feel superior than others, thinking because we are spiritual we are better. No, even a person who does not meditate is as equally important to me, equally important as me. Okay, it really doesn't matter. We have grown, we have taken the path, and we have also, we have also gone through the same path that they went through, and now we have reached a path of now starting meditation. They will also reach some or the other day, if not now, if not this birth, after few births they are also going to reach the state of enlightenment, reach the state of take the spiritual path. So there is no point in showing arrogance in becoming spiritual also. এটার মধ্যে কোনো, there is no greatness. Okay, we have to remember, because sometimes this comes into people who start becoming spiritual, start getting into the spiritual path. Your role, again, your role is employee, homemaker, parental status, employment status, etc. These also we connect to that, right? But like, what job I do and everything, from that also I attach my identity and I feed my ego through that. Material items, I already said, my desires, I feed with all of them, including what I discussed last time. Now we need to understand what are the main characteristics of ego. Okay, what are the main characteristics of ego? Ego tends to equate having with being, which is why the ego likes to identify with objects. Mane, what happens is, I want to feel that I exist. Okay, Mane, normally ki hoy je, like a common person who does not understand so much of spirituality, for him or her, he feels that he is there because he has something. It is not because he himself is enough to feel that he is there. Most of the people, they think that I exist in this world because I have this, I have that, I have a child, I have a husband, I have money, I have this, I have desires, I have thought, I have mind. Everything, all of these will make him feel that, oh, he exists. For this, sometimes, friends, if you remember, I was talking about that addiction. Okay, addiction to pain. Sometimes we are so addicted to suffering and pain and the feeling of victim mentality that we sometimes subconsciously we feel that we need that pain and addiction, but that because that makes us feel that we exist. If you remember, a long time back when I took the class on letting go, আমি letting go এর উপরে ক্লাস করেছিলাম, যেখানে I said ki sometimes we don't want to let go of the pain and suffering. It is like, you know everything, you have understood all the spiritual science, everything. It is time for you to let go, but you don't want to let go. Why? Do you remember, if I took this class and you were there, do you remember why do we not want to let go? Kano? Why do we not want to let go the suffering and the pain? Kano?
কখনো কখনো আমরা অ্যাডিক্টেড হয়ে যাই যে এই পেইন গুলোর জন্য, যে পেইন গুলোকেই আমরা অনেক সময় ভালো লাগতে শুরু করে, এবং মাইন্ড বডি এটার সাথে অনেক বেশি অ্যাকাস্টমড হয়ে যায় তখন।
It gives us a sense
এটাকে
of
ছাড়তে,
identity. It
হ্যাঁ
tells us
হ্যাঁ
that I
হ্যাঁ,
exist because I have this pain.
হুম।
Sometimes we don't want to, through therapy also, it's very easy to release body pains, okay? But sometimes even through therapy, I have seen with clients, they cannot release because they feel that my body exists because of this pain, because I can feel the pain,
আমার
okay?
একটা পার্সোনাল এক্সপিরিয়েন্স আছে, খুব ফানি।
Hmm.
তো আমার একবার পায়ে খুব অ্যালার্জি হয়ে গেছিল, মানে খুব ইচিং হতো। আর আমি যখনই টাইম পাচ্ছি, যখনই ফ্রি হচ্ছি, তখনই বসে 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 চুল কাচ্ছি। কিন্তু
Hmm.
যখন আমি ওটা আহ, আহ, ডাক্তারকে দেখালাম, ওটা কিওর হয়ে গেল। কিওর হয়ে যাওয়ার পরে কখনো একটা ফ্রি টাইমে আমি বসে আছি, বসে বসে না হঠাৎ ওই জায়গাটা হাত দিয়ে ভাবছি, আরে আমি তো মিস করছি যেন মনে হচ্ছে। তো হাসতে হাসতে বাড়িতেই
Yeah.
বলেছিলাম যে কিছু জিনিস বোধহয় একটু আমি আজকে চুলকানিটাকে মিস করছি।
You identified with that chulkani.
খুব ফানি,
So this is no,
কিন্তু আমার
this
বলতেই
is a
হলো
true
কথাটা।
example of ego. The ego
হুম
identifies with, something exists means something of having. You had this itching, right? You had this itching, and
হুম
that made you feel that I exist. You cannot even
এক্স্যাক্টলি,
feel you exist because you don't have. This is what the game of the ego does. That's why sometimes we are not even ready to let go of our pain and suffering psychologically. I know that this is making me suffer, but I don't let go because that makes me feel that I am alive because of this pain. Okay, this is the main characteristic, one of the characteristic of ego. Second, I'm not feeling well. Baba একটু পাপাকে একটু বল না, একটু ওখান থেকে, one second, just give me 1 minute. Okay. So the second point of ego is ego lives through comparison. Your ego likes to compare itself with others' ego. Okay. Another thing of ego is that it always likes to compare. The moment কেউ একজন বললো না যে আমার এটা হয়েছে, আমার ওটা হয়েছে, সাথে সাথে your mind will start calculating that তোমার কি আছে? Did you see? Do you do it or not? Tell me. ফ্রেন্ডস, যে মোমেন্ট অ্যাজ ফর এক্সাম্পল কলেজ ফ্রেন্ডসদের মধ্যে বলছি যে এই আমার একটা ব্যাগ কিনেছি, সুন্দর একটা, হ্যাঁ একটা সুন্দর একটা ব্যাগ কিনে এনেছি। তারপরে কেউ জিজ্ঞেস করলো যে কোথা থেকে কিনেছিস ব্যাগটা, বললো এই বাজার থেকে কিনেছি। আরেকজনের মাথার মধ্যে কিন্তু সাথে সাথে ঘুরতে থাকবে আমার কাছে এত সুন্দর ব্যাগ নেই, বা আমার কাছে এটার থেকেও ভালো ব্যাগ আছে, দুটোর মধ্যে একটা হবে। Okay, so what we think is that that I'm talking about youngsters, teenagers, yeah. So one teenager, one youngster might be buying a beautiful bag, and that youngster might come and fall in the group, and that youngster says that this is a beautiful bag. See, I bought it, and others will ask, from where did you buy the bag? Hmm? And then she'll say, I bought it from this bazaar, and then the other youngsters in their head will start comparing either they will either either they will say that see, she has better, I don't have, or they will say I have a better bag than her. Ria, can you relate to it? Okay, and it is not just with youngsters. It happens with everybody. Okay, comparison যে মাথার মধ্যে, even you see na sometimes my child has done this. Okay, my child has done this. The parent will go back home.
এক্স্যাক্টলি, হ্যাঁ এখনকার এজের জন্য এটা, এখন আর ব্যাগ নয়, এখন
হ্যাঁ এখন
বাচ্চা।
বাচ্চা। Okay, this is the game of the ego, that my child has done this. Hey, my child has scored this much, and they will say And you will say, wow, wow, good, fantastic. And you will go home if you're not aware. That's why I'm saying when we become aware, you no longer become a fool of the ego. But if you're not aware, you will go back home and you'll say, that when I see his child, he is doing so good in studies. Can't you do that? That also comes from because deep down the ego is constantly comparing and trying to prove better than others. Okay, this is the second point. The characteristic first point is it believes that it exists because it has. First point. Got it, everybody? How does the characteristic is defined? How is the characteristic of ego defined? First is this. Second is comparison. How we compare and then feel better or worse depending on our situation. If our situation is better than the other person, we feel good. Mine is better. আমার ছেলে ভালো করছে, আমার ছেলে এ করছে। Or see, I have a beautiful dress. See her dress, how bad that dress is. You know, these are the comparison happening. Or if it is worse, then I go back home and cry thinking, oh, why don't I have a better thing than that lady? Okay. Third, the ego is never satisfied. You have to understand, friends. You know, there is this one master, he was teaching, and he says that the soul is never satisfied. He said the soul is never, and his soul is so pure. You know, soul has nothing, no kind of, greed or kind of these excess desire to, do all these kind of, craving. But it is the ego of the soul that is never satisfied. The ego is never satisfied. Your ego always wants more fame, more stuff, more recognition, and so on. So you will always constantly keep, মনে হয় যে এইটা হয়ে গেলে I will be happy. But the moment that is over, you will have a next target. You will think about how can I achieve this, then only I will be happy. This is again the third point of ego is the ego is never satisfied. And that's why some people you will see is some people they're always complaining, always criticizing. Have you seen? Because कुछ मिल जाता है, इतना कुछ है जीवन में, वो देखते ही नहीं है. The ego makes them, force them to see that that is not there. You know, maybe your husband might be doing 10 good things, but that because the ego is not satisfied, it will point out on the 3 things that your husband is not doing and criticizing. Okay, because the ego is never satisfied. So again, it is so important. Third point, I'm telling you, friends, so that you make it a point, write it down, and you are aware that this is what I might be doing. And in future, when you go to your notes, you know that it is my ego which is trying to behave like this. Awareness is the key, friends. That's when we will not be suffering. Okay, then the third point, the ego's sense of self-worth depends on the worth you have in the eyes of others. Your ego needs the approval of other people to feel valued. Okay, so again, your ego has a problem. It can never feel worthy. It always feels, 1 second, friends, I'm not keeping well. Just give me 1 minute. Okay, I'll drink this and come. Yes, friends, I will not take, I was thinking of continuing the class and continue with the topic of ego, but I will finish because I'm not feeling well. I'll put the music on, start your meditation. Fourth point I told you, right? Self-worth. Howard's law of self-worth. What does Howard's law of self-worth says? It says that your worth is not dependent on anybody, anything. You know, your achievements, your goals, how beautiful you are, how great you are doing in life. Nothing, nothing is related to your self-worth. But ego is connected. Ego feels worthy only when somebody praises you. So you should be aware of it. Okay, I'm reading once again. The ego's sense of self-worth often depends on the worth you have in the eyes of others. Your ego needs the approval of other people to feel valued. So you only feel the ego is, this is the play of the ego. This is the fourth point, the play of the ego, that it feels valued only when other people sees value in you. Otherwise, it doesn't feel valued. But the spiritual practice is such that slowly you start developing so much of value, give so much of value and worth to yourself, that you no longer need all these kinds of approval from others. Okay, friends, thank you very much. I'll put the music. Please start meditating on your own. I'm not feeling that well. I might join you later. Okay, I just need some rest.